Xi Jinping is now China's chief economist. What danger do investors face? Implicitly allowing local governments to grab money? CCP implements consumption and property taxes. Why are many young people in China going to the hospital for neck traction? Corruption scandal. 8 out of 10 former standing committee members in Huizhou under investigation. Chairman of U.S. House Committee. The CCP's firewall should be dismantled. CCP cancels sanctions on U.S. company. Strategic move or desperation? It's all covered in today's China Truths. Xi Jinping is now China's chief economist. What danger do investors face? On July 23, Bloomberg reported that Xi Jinping has turned down proposals for large-scale economic stimulus, emphasizing technological innovation instead. He aims to drive economic growth through advanced manufacturing, including electric vehicles and solar panels, while stabilizing the struggling real estate market. This strategy contrasts with the views of economists and foreign officials, who believe that without a stronger social safety net, Chinese consumers will not increase their spending. In Xi Jinping's first decade in power, CCP policymakers often engaged in lively discussions with foreign economists and analysts. Now, the situation is different. Foreign experts can only meet with CCP officials irregularly, lacking the meaningful debates of the past. Chinese economists are unsure if their suggestions are being taken seriously, with CCP officials mostly nodding and taking notes. Well-known analysts' comments are often seen as interfering with Xi Jinping's top-down communication. Last week, Xi Jinping reaffirmed his focus on long-term strategy at the third plenary session, rejecting calls from economists to boost consumer confidence for economic rebalancing. He also prioritized national security, investing $47.5 billion in a chip fund to ensure China can manufacture cutting-edge semiconductors after U.S. supply cuts. Mr. Neil Thomas, a researcher at the Center for China Analysis at the Asia Society Policy Institute, said Xi Jinping believes that market-friendly policies caused many of the problems he inherited in 2012, such as debt-driven economic growth. Thomas added that the danger for investors is that CCP leaders increasingly do not understand their concerns, and current policies are not improving the economic situation. In 2022, as Xi Jinping secured an unprecedented third term, he installed loyalists in high-level positions, consolidating his control over China's economy. They replaced a generation of well-trained economists, including former CCP Premier Li Keqiang, who advocated balancing lockdowns with maintaining business vitality during the pandemic. Insiders revealed that Xi Jinping also retired Liu He, who was educated at Harvard and trusted by advisors. Liu He, known as the architect of China's engagement with capitalist reforms, was replaced by He Lifeng, whose influence and economic beliefs are less clear. As tensions with the U.S. escalate, reduced dialogue between the CCP and foreign experts, and increasing opacity of economic policies reflect a broader decline in openness. Experts report fewer and stricter meetings with CCP officials. Meanwhile, the CCP is increasingly concealing unfavorable economic data, such as the youth unemployment rate, which has not been released for several months. Analysts are urged to avoid negative comments in specific terms like deflation. For U.S. officials, He Lifeng's close relationship with Xi Jinping provides some insight into the CCP government's stance. Traditionally, the CCP's second-in-command in charge of the economy is also shifting gears. Premier Li Keqiang, who regularly holds seminars with economists, has not included foreign experts since taking office last year. In March, Li Keqiang ended the CCP premier's 30-year tradition of holding an annual press conference, emphasizing that all focus should be on Xi Jinping. Mr. Wen Tisong, a political scientist at the Australian National University, stated that investors and analysts now have little to reference besides Xi Jinping's speeches. Former Morgan Stanley Asia chairman Stephen Roach noted, Xi Jinping is now China's chief economist, after being invited to an annual summit in Beijing with senior officials and global executives. Implicitly allowing local governments to grab money? CCP implements consumption and property taxes. The CCP's third plenary session introduced tax reforms, shifting the collection of consumption tax to local governments, raising concerns about a new round of wealth extraction by the CCP. On July 21, Xinhua News Agency published the decision of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China on further deepening reform and advancing Chinese modernization, proposing to postpone the collection of consumption tax and steadily delegate it to local governments to increase local financial autonomy and expand local tax sources. Besides, the decision includes plans to implement price reforms in sectors crucial to people's livelihoods, such as water, energy, and transportation. The paper reported on July 23 that this means the consumption tax will be collected where the consumption occurs, shifting from a purely central tax to one shared between central and local governments. As local fiscal imbalances grow, some see this as a response to 2019's reform calls. However, Su Chenggang, a senior research fellow at Stanford University, argues this is merely an adjustment to ease local fiscal pressure, not a true reform. Political commentator Tang Jingyuan believes this is a disguised method for local governments to extract wealth from citizens. In his channel on Ganjing World, he stated that the central government is essentially allowing local governments to massively tax the public. The central government has given local governments the green light to rob the wealth of ordinary people massively. Whoever collects the taxes gets the resources. The central government can no longer support local finances and wants local governments to find their own solutions. Other taxes, like the real estate tax, may also return. The decision also proposed improving the real estate tax system, giving city governments full autonomy to regulate the real estate market. Wind data shows that in the first half of 2024, land transaction volume in 292 Chinese cities totaled 1,012.88 billion yuan, a 30% year-on-year decline. Over two-thirds of cities saw a decrease in land transfer fees, with the failure rate of land auctions returning to over 20%. The paper cited national economic strategy, stating that as land finance fades, local governments urgently need new tax sources, focusing on consumption, real estate, and capital gains taxes. The Juheng report stated that real estate development is shrinking rapidly, reducing tax revenue. Implementing a property holding tax is seen as the best solution due to its large and stable tax base, even if house prices drop. However, some argue that a real estate tax is a Damocles sword over China's housing market. Its implementation could severely impact the already struggling real estate sector, with unforeseeable consequences for the Chinese economy. Why are many young people in China going to the hospital for neck traction? Recently, a photo of several young people undergoing neck traction treatment at Shanghai 6th People's Hospital went viral online in China. The image, shared by a netizen, showed numerous young patients sitting in a row, undergoing neck traction with a magical red light in the background. This sparked a lot of discussions, with some netizens commenting, "I've done it. It cured my neck pain," while others explained, "This is neck traction, my colleague does it every day at work." These discussions revealed that many young people in China have sought this treatment. According to reports, neck traction is a physical therapy method where a traction device is used to pull on the patient's head with a certain amount of force. This treatment aims to relieve neck muscle spasms, loosen soft tissue adhesions, and restore the normal physiological curvature of the cervical spine, thereby alleviating neck pain and discomfort. Beijing Youth Daily reported that doctors from the Rehabilitation Medicine Department of Shanghai 6th People's Hospital explained that cervical spondylosis is a chronic condition. Many patients experienced symptom relief after a single physical therapy session, but achieving long-term effects requires multiple sessions. Doctors assess patients to determine if traction is suitable for them, as it is not appropriate for everyone. The occurrence of cervical spondylosis is often related to the patient's occupation, with higher incidences among accountants, office workers, clerks, and typists. Additionally, those who spend long hours using laptops or looking down at their phones also have a higher incidence rate. This therapy must be conducted under medical guidance. Previously, neck-hanging fitness became popular online. In May, a man in his 50s from Qingxi Town, Dianjiang County, Chongqing, died while attempting neck-hanging exercises after watching a video. CCTV News cited experts warning that blindly attempting neck hanging not only fails to provide health benefits but also poses significant safety risks, including nerve and spinal cord damage, which can result in paralysis or even death. Corruption scandal: 8 out of 10 former standing committee members in Huizhou under investigation. As of July 2024, 7 out of the 10 members of the 11th Standing Committee of the CCP Huizhou Municipal Committee in Guangdong Province have been officially announced to be under investigation, with another rumored to be in trouble. Netizens have commented on the shocking proportion of corruption among CCP officials, with some even suggesting that being a CCP official has become a high-risk occupation. On July 20, the Guangdong Provincial Commission for Discipline Inspection announced that Chen Yiwei, former director of the Guangdong Provincial Department of Human Resources and Social Security, was under investigation. Public records show that Chen Yiwei served as the secretary of the CCP Huizhou Municipal Committee from 2013 and as the party secretary and director of the Guangdong Provincial Department of Human Resources and Social Security from 2018 to 2022. Additionally, on July 6, Li Min, former deputy director of the Huizhou People's Congress Standing Committee, was expelled from the party and handed over to judicial authorities. Li Min, who was Chen Yiwei's deputy, held positions such as secretary of the Political and Legal Affairs Commission, deputy mayor, and deputy secretary of the Municipal Committee in 2016. He was investigated in May this year. With these developments, 8 out of the 10 members of the 11th Standing Committee of the Huizhou Municipal Committee, which took office in 2016, have encountered problems. Netizens on the overseas social media platform X have sarcastically remarked, 80% of officials are corrupt. Other comments included comparisons to Guangzhou's Baiyun district, where in 2006, so many officials were arrested that they couldn't hold district committee meetings due to the lack of a quorum. Huizhou is a prefecture-level city in Guangdong Province. The current standing committee of the CCP Huizhou Municipal Committee began its term in 2021. According to public records, the 11th Standing Committee of the CCP Huizhou Municipal Committee included Chen Yiwei, Secretary, Mai Jiaomin, Li Min, Deputy Secretary, Fan Zhongjie, Wang Kaizhou, Yan Baozhang, Huang Shuzhen, Hu Jianbin, Su Yunshu, and Jiang Zhulin. These developments highlight the significant issue of corruption within the CCP and the high risks associated with holding official positions. Chairman of U.S. House Committee: the CCP's firewall should be dismantled. On July 22, Republican Congressman John Molinar wrote an article titled "Mr. Xi, Tear Down This Firewall" in Newsweek. Mr. Molinar pointed out that last autumn, CCP leader Xi Jinping stated in San Francisco that the US and China cannot set up barriers between each other. Given this, the CCP should dismantle the Great Firewall that prevents Chinese citizens from accessing the outside world. In June 1987, then U.S. President Ronald Reagan delivered a speech at the Brandenburg Gate at the border between East and West Berlin, urging Soviet Communist leader Mikhail Gorbachev to tear down the Berlin Wall. Reagan famously said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Molinar used this historical reference, describing the CCP's Great Firewall as a utopian censorship system aimed at achieving near-total social control over the Chinese people. The article states, "The army of censors monitors all information and expressions within China, allowing the CCP to quickly eliminate unapproved speech and refer violators to the police. The Great Firewall blocks Chinese citizens' connection with the outside world, preventing information from entering China and stopping Chinese people from sending information out. Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube are all blocked." Molinar criticized that the CCP traps the Chinese people in a parallel world, feeding them strictly controlled propaganda from the regime. The Great Firewall, also known as the National Firewall of the CCP, includes a comprehensive hardware and software system that monitors all internet traffic into and out of China, along with various strict internet censorship mechanisms within China. Molinar argued that the CCP uses the Great Firewall to turn the internet, which should serve freedom, into the ultimate tool of control. The article states, as the CCP grows stronger, its ambitions are constantly expanding to maintain comprehensive control over physical, economic, political, cultural, and intellectual domains. In fact, despite historic spending on large-scale military construction, the CCP's internal security expenditure still surpasses its military spending. He further warned that the CCP is rapidly exporting surveillance technology overseas, finding buyers in authoritarian governments like Venezuela and Iran to help them control the internet and oppress their people. At the same time, Beijing is establishing a network of pro-CCP authoritarian governments that increasingly rely on the CCP to maintain power, threatening U.S. national security. On July 23, the House Committee on the CCP will hold a hearing titled The CCP's Great Firewall and the Export of Surveillance Technology, inviting experts and scholars to discuss the issue. Testifying will be Nat Kretchen, Deputy Director of the Open Technology Fund, Zach Cooper, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and Xiao Chang, Founder and Editor-in-Chief of China Digital Times. Molinar emphasized, the CCP fears most that the Chinese people will learn the truth about the Uyghurs, Taiwan, Tiananmen Square incident, COVID-19, the Chinese economy, and corruption. Most of all, they fear people learning the truth about the CCP itself. Why? Because they know their rule is built on the lie that only the party can speak for the Chinese people. Molinar concluded in his article, as President Reagan observed in Berlin, this wall will fall. For it cannot withstand faith, it cannot withstand truth. The wall cannot withstand freedom. CCP cancels sanctions on U.S. company, strategic move or desperation? Recently, the CCP has made a high-profile move to sanction U.S. companies involved in arms sales to Taiwan. However, on July 22, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that, due to changing circumstances, it decided to cancel the countermeasures against the U.S. company Viasat Incorporated. However, no further explanation for the cancellation was provided. Analysts point out that this is the first time the CCP has publicly announced the cancellation of sanctions against a company involved in arms sales to Taiwan, highlighting the CCP's dilemma: the more it blocks technology, the more it harms itself. Mr. Wu Setsi, director of the China Research Center at the Taiwan think tank, emphasized Viasat's technological influence and crucial partnership with China, especially in aviation. Sanctions since January have impacted contracts between China and Viasat, worsening China's economic situation. Viasat and 4 other U.S. defense companies were sanctioned by China on January 7 for their involvement in arms sales to Taiwan. Mr. Su Ziyun, director of the Strategy and Resources Institute of the National Defense and Security Research Institute of Taiwan, remarked that Beijing's flexibility in lifting sanctions might stem from other needs for Viasat's services and an attempt to attract foreign investment back to China. Founded in 1986, Viasat is a major U.S. satellite communications company with significant business in China. In 2019, it partnered with China Satcom to provide in-flight Wi-Fi to airlines and signed an agreement with Sichuan Airlines in 2022. Mr. Su Ziyun explained that the CCP has pursued military-civil fusion, using civilian product mass production to offset military costs and introduce foreign technology for military use. This move indicates Beijing's intention to restart such channels, although scholars believe its effectiveness in circumventing U.S. sanctions is declining. Mr. Wu Setsi noted that the CCP's expansionist intentions remain, as evidenced by PLA modernization plans by 2027 and Xi Jinping's goals for 2029. Western countries view these ambitions as confirmation of the CCP's potential threat. Even if Beijing appears to extend an olive branch, the U.S. is unlikely to relax sanctions. Additionally, the Chinese Ministry of Finance extended tariff exemptions on certain U.S. products until February 28, 2025. Mr. Su Ziyun suggested that Beijing's recent actions reflect tactical flexibility, responding to the U.S. presidential election by showing partial goodwill while maintaining strategic confrontation. Mr. Wu Setsi added that a potential re-election of Trump could lead to broader and more intense economic and trade war measures against China. Given China's current economic state, stronger sanctions or direct decoupling of U.S.-China trade relations would be extremely painful. In conclusion, the CCP may be proactively adjusting to anticipated changes in the U.S. political landscape. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.